So good evening, everyone. Thank you once again for being with us this evening to go over the financial report for local cultural councils. My name is Lisa Simmons. I am the program manager for the communities team, and we have with us some of our program officers, Ricky Guillaume, Hanako Bryce, Jay Wong, and Gelmi Espinal. We have two other members of our team as well, and I will introduce you to them through this PowerPoint presentation. I want to let you know that this PowerPoint, that this presentation is being recorded. Are we recording this, everyone?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. This presentation is being recorded, and we are providing closed caption for you, which is happening right now at the bottom of your screen. If for some reason you can't see that, you can go into your settings and turn on live transcript, and you'll be able to see that. And if you have any questions or troubles getting to that space, please let one of us know. Let us know in the chat, and we can help you with that. Today's focus, as I said, is going to be on the financial reports that you will need to enter into the grants management system, also known as Smart Simple. And so we're really just going to go through those two things. And we will be having another webinar on grant decisions, which is going to happen on October 13th. So we want to let you know that. So first off, I just want to introduce you to the team. These are your program officers, and you can find out how to reach them and how to connect with them on our website. And we will send a link. We will put up a link where you can find which program officer is connected to your particular city and town. But we are all here to support you through this. We are all here to support you through the grant cycle. We just did a webinar for applicants that's available. It's available also for you to use to share with your applicants and your prospective applicants in your community. So feel free to use that and share that with them. And you can also use it if you're doing an applicant training. We also did a webinar on guidelines and priorities a few weeks ago. That is on our website, on our YouTube channel, and we'll put that in the chat for you as well. So we want to continually be providing you with opportunities to learn, the system and the guidelines, and make sure that we have those in YouTube format for you to look at yourselves. So those are available for you. So going back to the LCC financial reporting and GMS system, oftentimes local cultural councils find it somewhat confusing to where to put all of your information that you're going to get from your town accountant. So as I said, this webinar is going to go over that and help you navigate this particular part of your annual report. So you're going to log into the grants management system. You're going to click on financial report, which is on your homepage. You're going to open the FY23 record. And this year, as in last year, the financial report consists of 2 tabs. And they will become visible once you complete a tab. Now we're going to go over a tutorial for this, but I also wanted this to be in a PowerPoint presentation that you will also receive so that you will have that. So we talked about the different types of tabs. So the first tab is going to be the LCC account form. It's where the Mass Cultural Council has already sent to your town accountants the account form, which you're going to be using to plug in the numbers that the town accountant gives you into the grants management system, right? So this account form is a summary of what went on in your local cultural council account for the fiscal year 22. So that's last year. Everything that went on from July 2021 to June 30th, 2022. So they'll have all of that information, and you're just going to transfer that information into the GMS system. Once you do that, and we'll go over this, once you have taken those numbers and you transferred them into the GMS system, you're going to hit submit. And once you hit submit, you won't be able to go back. And if you have any issues that you need to go back in there, your program officers are here to help you do that. The other tab in the financial reporting section is the calculate amount available for granting. This is the really important part of your financial report. because this is going to tell you how much money you have to grant out to the applicants that are applying. So the thing about the way the system works is you will not see this tab until you complete the prior section. So once you hit submit, then this tab right next to LCC account form will become available. So for this section and calculate amount available for granting, your town accountant also has received the LCC account form to plug in the numbers that you need to put into our grants management system. So again, it should just be a cut and paste for you. They have done all the calculations. This is why it's really important that you meet with your town accountant, whether it's the chair or the treasurer or whoever it is, the representative from the LCC, because you need to be on the same page as to how much is still left in the account and how much has gone out of the account. So when you meet with them, you're going to see, and we're going to go over it, as I said, that you're going to have amounts that have gone out of your account from July 1, 2022 to the time when your town accountant has given you the form, right? So we're trying to capture the beginning part of FY23. So that's July 1, 2022 of this year till the time when you get your account form back from your town accountant. These are the numbers that are going to go in here. So it's going to talk about money that's gone out of the account. It's going to talk about how much money is left inside of the account that you are waiting for either reimbursements or direct grant contracts. So that's the encumbered money that you know that you have, say, 10 grantees who have yet to send in their forms. You're holding on to that money because you don't want to spend it in this fiscal year if they haven't been reimbursed yet. So, and when you complete the calculate amount available for granting, you hit the submit button as well. And that will populate the grant decision section that we'll talk about at our next webinar. So that's all really important because you want to make sure that you're not over granting or under granting. You want to get the right amount of money that you're going to be granting out and that you know you're going to be granting out. So so those are the things that your town accountant should be giving you. I just want to go over, because we had a couple of questions about this, about the management of your local cultural council funds. So as you all know, each local cultural council must keep all of your funds in one account, in one municipal account. Now you're entitled to interest on that municipal account. So that's great. And that's considered local money. And you can spend that money, through the Mass Cultural Council guidelines, and that's how that money should be allocated. And there should never be a separate checkbook. All of that money should be in one account, one municipal account, whether you have locally raised money, whether you have municipal money, and whether you have allocations from the Mass Cultural Council. It all goes into one account because that's how the accounting is done at the end of each year. And you all know also that if you have unspent funds from the prior fiscal year, it needs to be reported in your account local, your account form on GMS, and then it has to be granted out in the next available funding cycle. So, you may find out that there are 2 grantees that didn't do a project and they're not going to be using those funds. Those funds can then be unencumbered now if they tell you that before you go into your grant meetings and make decisions, can be unencumbered and put into amount available for granting. So we'll go over a quick tutorial, and if you have any questions, if I'm going too fast, if you need some more clarification, just let me know. So we're going to go into the tutorial. So you log into the grants management system, right? So that's the massculturalcouncil.smartsimple.com. So you're going to come to this page where you're going to log in. And once you log into this system, you should come up to a page that says, welcome and your name. So as you know, each one of you has a separate login. It's no longer one login for everyone on the council. Everyone has to have their own email, password, which brings them to their own login. So this is what your portal page is going to look like. You're going to have your council profile. You're going to have your profile of your, of yourself. You have the ability to change your password. You're not changing it for the entire council. And then you come down to your annual report. Your annual report is made up of these three major things. As I said before, we did a webinar on guidelines and priorities, and we can share that with you. But today we're really just going to focus on the financial report. So one of the things that we did this year, listening to everyone from last year, was to give you a lot of direction, right? So you'll see the due dates for particular things that are in your portal. And when you get to your portal, when you get into the financial report, which is great, is each tab that you are going to be looking at gives you these great instructions, right? So it's going to tell you, this is where you put your information. Here's where the deadline is. We've really tried to give you some information while you're working on these forms. Right here is a great drop down for definitions for each one of the boxes for each one of these where you have to input information for each one of these sections. So it's incredibly helpful. We talked about the LCC account form tab. It's right here again. If you have questions about it, it's giving you all that description. Same with the calculate amount available for granting. We're really trying to make sure that we can give you as much information as we can to support you as you're doing your work. And then there's also some templates and some worksheets that are available to you if you want to take a look at those. So this is what it's going to look like when you come in. It's going to come down. It's going to say fiscal year 23. It's going to say the name of your organization. And then you're just simply going to open that. So when you open it, it's going to look just like this, right? So here it is again. We're giving you information up here about when it's due, about how to submit it, about how you're right now, as I said before, the only thing you're seeing is the LCC account form, right? So this is where you're going to plug in that information that your town accountant is going to give you. So I'm just going to close this a little, and I'm going to bring up, I'm going to move this down here. So I'm going to bring up, so this, and I just can my team let me know that you can see the local cultural council account form?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is the account form that we have sent to your town accountant. So as you can see, there's a box 1, there's a box 2, there's a box 3A. It mirrors exactly what needs to go into your financial report, which is great. So if you have met with your town accountant and you have gone over the information, then all you need to do is take what the town accountant has given you in this particular form. And here we have account balance as a fiscal year for this particular LCC. The account balance, we're just going to put it right in here. It's going to be 8,000. And then we're going to come back over here and say state revenue. So the state revenue is going to be your state allocation. So this particular council's allocation is 5,500 or was 5,500 for last year. So we're going to put that in there because we're going to need this to do our calculations. But again, once you get this form from your town accountant, the calculations have already been done. And I'll show you that. Then we're going to say here, is there any municipal revenue? So this can either be no, and that's going to be a 0, or if your municipality has decided to give you, say, an additional $250 towards the local cultural council, that's where this would go in. This is municipal revenue. This isn't state money. This is not fundraising money. This is strictly money that comes in from your municipality. And if you have questions, this is where that hovering over the question mark comes in. It's going to give you all the information you need in order to make sure that the numbers that you're putting in are correct. So then we have interest income. So here the town accountant has said in box 3B that there's $2 of interest income. So we're going to transfer that over there. And then other revenue. So this can be zero or it can be an amount of money. In this case, I've made the sample to have other revenue. If you have locally raised funds, if someone's given you a gift, if you have done an event and have money from that, if you've done some fundraising, that is where this is going to go in box C. So let's say this particular LCC raised $1,200. So that's going to go into, and that's going to go into box 3C. So then you come back over here and you want to know, and you're going to grab that total revenue. So what that total revenue is doing is it's adding up the state funds and the locally raised funds to give you total revenue for FY22. So that's $6,952. So you're just going to transfer that because the calculation has already been done in the municipal worksheet that your town accountant has done. Okay. So then we're going to come down to box 5. And remember, this is the snapshot for fiscal year 22. We will get to 23 when we do amount available for granting. So here in that fiscal year, the amount of money that has gone out of your account is $2,950. And again, we're just transferring it from what the town accountant put in this space over here to our portal. Box 6 is saying, what is the account balance? And the account balance after it has been calculated is going to, you're just going to transfer this over. So the balance current, so just so you know, and this is really important for you to know as well, hovering over these question marks if you have questions. So it's basically here it's saying the account as of the last day of the previous fiscal year, June 30th, which is box 1 plus box 4 minus box 5, which will equal box 6. So if you have questions about it, you can hover over that question mark and we'll give you the definition of what is in that box. So then this is a question that can be a little confusing. In box 7, it's the local revenue remaining in your account. So that means that of the money that's in box 6, you have local revenue in that balance. And that's important because if you don't want to use that local revenue for next year, and you want to keep it to yourself, and we'll talk about that and calculate amount available for granting, you need to populate box 7. So if you haven't raised money, if you have no municipal funds, that's going to be 0. But if you have local money and you have other municipal funds, you need to say what amount of money is part of that balance. So it'll tell you that here and hovering over it. So you need to add up. So what the town accountant will do will add up those local funds that you raised and the interest income and the municipal income if you have that. And in this case, this municipality has $1,452 in unspent local revenue. That's great. So then we move down to the municipal code. This municipal code the town accountant has. And the reason for the municipal code is so that we can be clear that the local cultural council has had a conversation with the town accountant. So the only way you're going to get that code is in your conversation with the town accountant. Okay. So let's just go over that really quickly. So basically what I did was I transferred the numbers that your town accountant gave you from this account form, and this is what it looks like, put them over here in our grants management system, a basic cut and paste, to come up with the account balance at the end of last fiscal year and what it's going to be at the beginning of this fiscal year. And then you're going to come down, just to move this, and then you're going to come down here, and with every time you're in this system, you need to save draft. If you have a question, save draft. See, because save draft will count is basically your calculator hitting equal, right? So I'm going to hit save draft, and hopefully that'll work. And then basically your town accountant is going to fill out the municipal fiscal officer information, and then you as the council representative, whoever's doing this form, will put that information in. So as you see up here, it says LCC account form. Once I hit submit, and it asks you before you do anything, do I want to proceed? Yes. Once that happens, now you see calculate amount available for granting. What I talked about before, the LCC account form is the first form you need to fill out and submit before the calculate amount available for granting is available for you to see. So I'm just going to move us down here so I can go over. So one of the things that we did differently this year is we wanted to make sure that you were able to have the calculated amount available for granting already worked on with your town accountant. And I think that this year it's going to make a world of difference, because once you finish the account form, you still needed information from your town accountant to actually do the calculated amount available for granting. So this form also has a tab here that also populates those numbers for you. So again, here's our information. We've given you up front, again, more direction. The more direction, the better. And you're in the calculate amount available for granting tab. Section will help your council account for your state and local funds and calculate your total dollars available for this year. So for this section, it really is, as I said before, from July 1, 2022 to present day, or to the time when your town accountant gives you and has calculated this worksheet. So for this purposes, I'm going to say that you're going to receive this, that this council received this this account form from their town accountant on September 30th, right? So as you can see in box A, the 12,000 from your former year gets carried over automatically. Okay, so that number is going to go in there. And then we go over to the town accountant form. And so box A is 1202. And then box B, this is all the money that has left your account since July 1 or June 30th, the end of the fiscal year, until now we're using September 30th. So we're going to say that that amount of money that people sent in their reimbursements, so they're getting paid. And then we're going to go back over here and see, okay, so we know how much was spent, and now how much is in the account still, because people have not sent us their reimbursement, or if you're a direct grant, they haven't sent back their contracts, so they have not been paid. So we know that there are 12 grantees who are yet to be paid. And so that amounts to $4,500. That's what the town accountant is telling us. So again, in this form, we're asking, did you receive any other local money? Now, this could be from July 1 to the time that the town accountant fills out and gives you this form. You could have had a fundraiser. You could have had an event. You, in the summer, you could have received a donation. So that's where this amount of money would go in. And for this municipality, for this LCC, we're going to say, no, there isn't any more additional money that has come in yet. So then we just transfer that 0 to over here. Then we're going to scroll down. So when I said about making sure that you save draft, you need to save the draft and you'll see what happens. So right now it says available remaining balance in box E. If I hit save draft, that amount's going to change. So in order for the form to be updated and to do its calculations, you must hit the save draft button. So now we're going to move a little bit farther down into voting meeting decisions. And this is where you're going to really find out, because here we're going to add in the FY23 allocation, what the amount of money is that you have for granting. Okay, so right here, this tab here, box E, the remaining balance in box E should mirror this over here in the grants management system. And so then we're going to scroll down, and again, we've given you lots of directions. And again, hovering over will really help give you more instruction if you need that. So now we're going to scroll down and we're going to say, this section should account for some decisions the council will finalize at your voting meeting. This particular tab can change, a little bit, because you're still going to have your voting meetings and decide whether you're going to take administrative funds. If you have local funds, you're going to make a decision whether or not you're going to keep that money for yourself or you're going to give some of it to the grant cycle. If you see that you have a lot of applications and you want to put more money into it and you have these local funds, this is where you can make that kind of decision to shift to make sure that you have enough money for the grant cycle. So in this case, it says your available remaining balance, how much locally raised funds will your LCC keep in the account? So this is what I was talking about in box 7 from the account form, where you said we made this much money in local funds. This is where you make the decision about whether or not you want to keep that or you want to give it to the grant cycle. So I'm saying for this particular LCC, we're going to decide to keep it because we don't know, we might do something. We might have a party or something. Every single LCC is given, you can set aside 5% of your allocation for administrative funds, postage, publicity, logo design, anything like that. You don't have to take those administrative funds, but a lot of councils will do so just to have that, just in case there's something that they need support. So in this case, I'm going to say we're going to take $250. So we're going to take $250, and you see it's reflected here, box G and box G. You're just going to move that over. And then the FY23 allocation is $5,000. So that is already populated. You do not have to populate your FY23 allocation. It's already in there as part of your financial report. We've pre-populated that. So so then you're going to come down and you're going to say, always, it's going to tell you this, but I'm telling you this over and over, to always click save draft. So right now it's telling me I have $7,802 as amount available for granting, but that's before I hit save draft. So if I hit save draft, it's going to calculate, and now this is the amount right here that I have available for granting. So this document that you're getting from your town accountant should mirror what you have that you have put into your grant management system. So once you do that, you can submit this, form, and you can change this form. You do have the ability to change this calculated amount available for granting, so that if you make, as I said, any of those changes. So we're going to submit this form. Are you sure? Are you ready? You want to proceed? Yes, we want to proceed. So now it's going to calculate and it's going to bring you back to your home page. So now you've completed your financial report. And the next thing you're going to have to do is do your grant decisions. And we're not going to talk about this today because we are going to be doing a webinar, like I said, on October 13th. But I do just want to open it up so that you can see, again, it's going to give you lots of instruction on what to do for grant decisions. But I want to show you, so a lot of people have questions about where they put the council program information. You're going to put in this part of your annual report, your voting meeting, your council program. This is where you're going to make a decision at a voting meeting whether or not you're going to do a council program. And then you're going to have your decisions right here. So when you make your decisions, it auto populates into here. I want to make one observation with council program. So with council program, what you do have to understand is that the amount available for granting, that's $6,000. If you're going to do a council program, that council program is included in that $6,000. So it's not an additional. You don't say, oh, we can take 20% of our allocation for a council program, and that's $500. It's not above. It's not above the 6,100 that you. Sorry, it's not above the $6,100 that you have for granting. It is included in that. So that's it. So that is the financial report. Those are the two sections that you need to make sure that they're done by October 17th. This is the form that you need to fill out, that your town accountant will be filling out for you. And as I said, it's really a copy and paste for you. If you do have questions though about the accounting that your accountant has done, please let us know. I do know that in some cases, some councils have not yet connected, or we might not have the right contact information for your town accountant. So please let us know if you have not been in touch with your town accountant or your town accountant has not received the form. So that's it. And we're here to take any questions.
Lisa,
Yep.
I'm going to float a question up to you. Patricia Gale, Patricia says, but the town says that all town funds have to be spent by June 30th or they revert to the town. We cannot hold over town funds, as he just indicated. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so this is the thing too, with local cultural councils, right? So each municipality is different. And some will allow a rollover of those funds. It is very true with LCC money, you have to spend that money, in the year. But if you've already had your voting meeting and someone says, oh, well, I don't need this, I don't need to, we can't meet again and distribute that money becomes unencumbered for FY24, will become encumbered for FY24. So you are allowed to do that with MCC money. I mean, you're supposed to roll it over. With municipal money, there are municipalities that if they give you money, or if you have money in with the municipality, that money needs to be spent within the year. So you need to check with your municipality. We allow the administrative funds to roll over if they need to, but for the most part, the only thing that really rolls over is any encumbered money that didn't become unencumbered before you have your voting meeting.
Thank you, Lisa. There's another one from Isabel Perez. Is there a standard letter template to officially send a former grantee to let them know their funds will be reallocated to this new season? Pretty much an FY21 grantee told them that they can't do their project, and they're, giving the grant award back. Is there like a standard letter? Is it okay just to email them, let them know, tell them to apply for when they're ready?
Yeah, so we have been telling councils, especially with FY21, because we all know what we've had to do with COVID and the pandemic issues. So, if you have a grantee who still has holdover from FY21, we've been guiding councils to have you unencumber that money and have them apply for the FY23 grant cycle. If they have a project, if they have a program, it makes it cleaner for the accounting. If they are not modifying or they didn't do their project, that money is now going to become unencumbered and it's going to be part of the granting pool for FY23. Any other questions?
Yeah, there's a few more. Would you mind explaining the 20% again?
Sure. So each year you get an allocation from Mass Cultural Council, and you are allowed to take up to 20% of that allocation right off the top for a council program. So if you wanted to do a council program, say you wanted to do a festival, say you wanted to do an art fair that the council all agreed upon, then that's a great use of council program money. One of the things that we really wanted to do, starting back a couple of years ago, was to give local cultural councils the opportunity to run your own programs, to see maybe if there was something in your city or town that wasn't being addressed that you really wanted to address that didn't come through your applications. And so it used to be 15%. We upped that to 20% so that you would have the opportunity to have funds to be able to do that for your communities.
Thank you. There's something from Annette, and that says we are a direct payment grant. We received a refund of $400 after the fiscal year for an event that was not going to happen. There was no way to enter the $400 refund into section 2 of the report. We had to reopen section 1 and add it to the account balance at the end of the fiscal year. I don't know, Annette, if you could clarify what this fiscal year 22, 21.
So if they gave the money back in FY22, then that $400 would be available for granting in FY23, right?
Yeah.
So Gail's asking, can the 20% go to a festival that already exists? Only if so they're talking about a council program, only if that festival is something that the council is putting on. You can't, the council program money is not to support an existing event that's already happening unless it's an event that the council is directly creating, producing. The idea is that those funds would go towards supporting or creating something that maybe the town doesn't have but wants to have and didn't come through in a grant application. Your local accountants will know what your allocation is because it's in the account form, but it's also in your, if you went to council profile and clicked on cycles and you looked at FY23, you would be able to see your grant allocation. Everyone's grant allocation has been uploaded into your grants management and into your council portals.
They said there's a question from Claire. We get $2,000 from the town warrant each year. Does this need to be spent on the grant cycle?
It does not. If you're getting municipal money, you can make a decision about what you want to do with those funds. But if your municipality is telling you that that needs to be spent in the fiscal year, then, it's up to you. It's, it needs to be used for arts, culture, science. It does not need to be included in the MCC grant cycle. But it can be, if you feel like you have a lot of applicants and maybe not enough of an allocation, that you could allocate some of those funds to the grant cycle and use some of the money for something else. But that is what I explained as local money, and that money will be accounted for in your account form. But if you don't want to use it as part of the grant cycle, it will be taken out when it asks you that question: how much of local money do you want to keep in reserve and keep in savings?
Thank you, Lisa. 2 questions on the 20% again. The first one, can we apply for a separate MCC festival grant for one of our festivals instead of using the 20% on our own council program? And then the second question, can the 20% council program, go to sponsor a festival that already exists?
Okay, so yes, please apply for festival grants. And those of you who do your own programming, remember we have pandemic grants. So if you already do your own programming, if you've done a council program in the past, it's not for just creating a council program, but we do have pandemic relief funds for that. Yes, you can apply for a festival grant. And as far as sponsoring an already existing program, if you are supporting that program with council members, and council members are very much a part of that festival, and it's not just giving money to have the festival go on, then yes, you can use your 20% to be a bigger part of that, to be much more involved in it, to help, as long as the council is in agreement and that the council members are working on that particular program.
Thank you, Lisa. This one's from Debbie. They are anticipating a lot of returned money for FY23. So how will they be able to account for that if that comes to be?
Really? Well, I think what a good rule of thumb is to, before you start the grant cycle, if you have a number of applicants that are still outstanding and have not sent in their reimbursement or their direct grant contracts, to send an email out to all of them and make sure that they're on track to be using those funds. Because if you can release those funds before you have your grant meetings, your grant approval meetings, voting meetings, then you can unencumber that money and put it in the pot for spending this year. So it's always a good idea to look and see which applicants have not, which grantees have not sent in their reimbursements yet. And so to give yourself a good idea of if there is going to be money, and if you know that there's going to be money, then you can calculate what that is before you have your grant meeting.
Thank you, Lisa. I have a 2-parter on direct grants. So Maryland says, their council has tried to send correspondences to a grantee who didn't respond to direct grant agreements from FY21 and FY22. How long should they wait? And another question, the council member wants to know, how do they become a direct grantor?
So as far as if you have outstanding direct grants from 21 and those grantees, are not responding, then that they need to respond within a year, right? So a year from the date that they get their approval letter, they're supposed to be sending in their reimbursement request, and they're supposed to be sending in their contracts. So technically, they have not done that, so they're in violation of that. So that money can be now unencumbered and put into the grant cycle. As far as becoming a direct grant, you would have had to make that decision by September 1. And so to become a direct grant council, if you would like to become a direct grant council for FY24, please reach out to your program officer, and they can help you and explain to you what that exactly means. But two of the things that you need to do before September 1st was update your priorities and decide whether or not you wanted to be a direct or reimbursement council. So right now it's too late, but we can relook at that for FY24.
Thank you, Lisa. Any thoughts or comments on how to effectively reach out to grantees to make sure they send their reimbursement paperwork on time?
You know, you'd think that people want their money, right? It's a constant thing, right? And so you can, I would say, like, you're emailing people, especially when you know that their programs have already happened and they haven't sent in their request for reimbursement. It's always a good idea at the beginning of the year to send out a reminder to people. As I said before, you only have 6 months, or you only have 3 months to return your paperwork to get reimbursed or to get your direct grant funding for your program. Just let them know that if they don't do that, then they run the risk of not being able to get that funding. So, I think it's also with direct grant is getting people to return their direct grant contracts. And I know that there was a question also about, like, if someone has a direct grant and they haven't done their program, how much chasing down do we need to do? We don't want you to spend your time chasing down. That's really a Mass Cultural Council issue. If you do have issues with people not returning funds, if they got direct grant, reach out to your program officer, because it's not something that we want LCCs to have to be involved with. It's Mass Cultural Council funding, and we're here to help you support that and getting those funds back. Or one of the things with direct grant, you can also put in the grant agreement that if they don't return the money and have not done a program, then they will not be able to apply for the next fiscal year. So that's always something really good to put in the direct grant agreements. Anything else? Someone says our council requires programs to be held in the calendar year. Yes, you can do that. Oh, Gelmi's answering that question. Okay, great. Can I ask you about a grantee who hasn't spent on his performance, but no documentation of the amount he spent on publicity? The only receipt we gave him for that week. Well, you can always, there is a section in the guidelines that says that if you are not happy with what the grantee has done, then you have the right to not fund that. But in this particular case, you unless you've written that in your priorities or something, you can't really necessarily say you won't fund them. But there are ways that and I think Ricky's answering that question too, how you can not fall into that issue. The next webinar is going to be October 13th at 6 p.m. and we will go over grant decisions. So we'll take a look at how you do your approvals, how you do your denials, how you go from pending denial to denied, and how you go from approved to them receiving letters on their approval and their denials. So so that'll be great, and we really wanted to do that before you started to have your voting meetings. Someone said, if we get a direct grant agreement for FY21, does it, you need to check with your municipality on that, because if you were holding the FY21 direct grant money because of the pandemic, then that's something different. But you shouldn't be holding on to direct grant funds, after a year if someone hasn't sent in their forms for that. Yes, I believe we can save the chat, right, team?
Yes, I think so. We'll have the transcript afterwards.
We also have 2 raised hands.
Oh.
I mean, we can address those questions.
Okay, where are those raised hands? Julia, did you have a question?
Yes, my question was, I was wanting you to go over, you said something about if we do have some outstanding grants from FY21 that had extensions, and you said something about asking them to reapply for 23, FY23. Should we just tell them, okay, to make it cleaner accounting wise, could you just, we'll do this, we'll unencumber the funds and we'll redo the grant in 23? Is that
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good accounting way to do it. I mean, especially, unless, your municipality might not want that either, to have those funds holding over. But if it's FY21 and they're going into FY23 and they keep extending and extending, and it's the same program, it's easier if they just apply for the FY23, put that money back into the pot for FY23, and then FY21 is closed and sort of off the books. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what do they do to say that they don't want the money? I mean, that we're not
they would do it. It would
we're a
be
reimbursement, community at the
Yeah.
21.
They wouldn't do that. You would. I mean, if they're
You would.
reimbursement, then the
Yeah.
money's never left. So,
Right.
I would say that this, because it's been so long, that this is the decision as a council that we're making. We would like you to then, reapply for FY23, because that money is now still encumbered, right? You still encumbered it. And if they keep asking for extension and extension, then that, it just gets a little muddled.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then, Michael, you had a question? You're on mute, Michael, if you wanted to ask a question.
Yes, we have the recipient of a direct grant who was supposed to take some kids on field trips during 2022, but they've just written us to say that somehow they hadn't done that, and they'd like to wait until the beginning of 2023 to do it. They already have their money. My question is it enough for us simply to vote on whether to allow them to do this, or does it somehow need to get converted into a 2023 grant?
No, you can vote on the extension of that grant.
Fine. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Jane, do you have a question? Hi, Jane. If you want to ask a question, you're on mute.
No, I don't. I accidentally hit the wrong button here. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
This has been very informative. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Anne, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Hi. So our council requires grantees to have the program within a calendar year, so January through December.
Yep.
So grantees for this coming cycle will be doing programs from January 2023 through December 2023.
Okay.
And we anticipate sending out approval letters in either December or early January of 23. So I know they have a year to put in reimbursements, but if a program's happening in November 2023, I'm thinking particularly of schools, that does not give them a lot of time to get their reimbursements in, since it's a calendar year from notification. Is it possible to extend that, or how does that work?
I mean, that's up to you, and that's up to your, you can make that decision. And the thing is too, is that if you're requiring them to do their programming within the calendar year, but that doesn't necessarily mean that their reimbursements have to be in through the calendar year, does it?
The way I interpreted the MCC guidelines was that they had to reimburse 1 year. They had 1 year from the date of the letter, award letter.
Yes, yes. So,
request
so, right.
reimbursement.
So you can make that exception.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, this is great. Thank you so much for joining us. We're just coming in under the one minute before 7. I really appreciate your time and your questions, and we are here for you. As you have the links, we'll save the chat where we'll send this recording off to you with the PowerPoint presentations. But we really worked hard this year to make sure that we gave you as much information on the financial report as we could. So I'm hoping that's really helpful to you. And as I said, my teammates are all here. They really want to help also and support the work that you're doing. So thank them for answering all your questions on your Q&A. And absolutely feel free to reach out to any of us. As we all go through the grant cycle together, we're really excited for a great year and to have some really amazing programming that's happening in your community. So thanks a lot and have a wonderful evening.